about getting you in. And I think Noah at first was like, I'm not inviting a random. I don't know if he said black man, but I think it was along the.
Yeah.
You want to take it away? You want to do intros?
Yeah. Let's. I guess welcome to the Snail Gang podcast. This is my name's Andrew. This is Virgil. We met playing college basketball at Rochester University. Was it Rochester University when you got there, or Rochester College?
It was Rochester University. I think that I got there the first year. It changed.
That's right.
So
yeah. So we're gonna talk about some of our journey with college sports, how we became friends, and kind of what we're up to now. What's life like post basketball, and a whole lot more. Sports around Michigan, sports around the country, and a little bit of lifestyle stuff too. Oh yeah,
man. Just here
that'll
to
be
have a good time. Yeah.
We'll get into a bunch of different things as we kind of grow as a podcast too. So it'll be a lot of fun. But we're kicking off with the origin story.
Absolutely, episode 1, the origin story. I can definitely start talking about this one first, though, and what I remember from us officially meeting. I think the first time we met was, I can't remember for sure, so I don't know if it was the first time we played at your dad's place or if it was at the park. And I think it was at your dad's place, and then we kind of grew into the park. You're like, hey, we play at the park. But yeah, I think you had just gotten off of work, walking up the driveway. I was already at your house. Your dad was like, hey, I knocked on the door. He was like, you here for Andrew? I was like, yeah, my name's Virg. He's like, oh, I went to every one of Andrew's games. I know who you are. I was like, oh, okay. Okay. But yeah, we played, I think it was you, me, Sauce, Drew, my boy Isaiah, and maybe Shane. No, Aldrin
we had a couple
was there
Clarkson
as well.
guys.
Did I say that? Yeah. We're just playing, man, 3-on-3 on your dad's court in his backyard. And that was really the beginning of kind of everything. I didn't know you or Sauce that well, and I was like, oh, these guys are cool. And then, that was basically the beginning of it. And then drove back to play at the park with you guys a couple times. And then after that, we started training and stuff like that, and it got serious. And then I felt like, I don't know, I always felt welcomed by you guys. Felt like, there were a weirdness. Like when we first met, it wasn't like, awkward or anything like that. So, and that was basically the gist of how we first met. What's your? I know yours is probably a little different, but what's yours?
Yeah, well, you also have to understand who you were to all of us going into that situation, because you kind of leave out the fact that the year before or 2 years before, we had played Virgil in a game, and I think he gave us 27 and 12 or something, like on our home court. We were supposed to win by 20. If there was odds on that game, it probably would have been like 20 and a half or something, because you guys were bad that year and we were good. And Virgil just worked us the whole game. It was terrible. I wasn't guarding him. We'll blame Noah for that. It may have been a little bit of Cap too. But so our what we knew about Virgil is that he could hoop and that he gave us a lot of buckets that one day. And then from there, we found out Logan knew you and that you were looking to transfer. And he said, hey, you remember that guy that we played from Graceland? We're like, yeah, of course we do. And he's like, well, I'm trying to get him to transfer. I was like, Logan, you better make this happen. And he did. He came through. Logan came through. So, but then, that first day we invited you to come out and play at my dad's place, because this was like, I don't know if this was COVID or what happened, but we were playing threes.
Like post, yeah.
It had to have been, like that summer or something. Yeah. After 2020. And you showed up and you were quiet. which is funny to think about now because you're not a quiet person. But you're very quiet when you first meet people. And
Yes.
we didn't know what to expect. You know, we're going in, we know you could hoop. And then it was very clear as soon as we played with you that, like, oh, he didn't just have a fluke game either. Like, this dude's good. And like you said, at first, like, it wasn't awkward by any means, but we also didn't know how to approach you. Like, we didn't exactly
Hmm.
know like what kind of guy you were going to be, and then we slowly realized how goofy you were. And we're like, oh, like that's why it felt weird at first because
Yeah.
we weren't necessarily expecting that, but that's absolutely how it
No.
was. And then we started playing at the park, and that's I think the first day we were at the park is when you went like really crazy, and you start. It was all threes though, and that's when we realized like, oh, this dude's gonna be a problem for us, and like in a good way.
That's so funny to think about because when I think I forgot. I mean, I didn't forget, but sometimes I forget like because we had our own like relationship after I played you guys. So it's not like you guys were
Mm-hmm.
just like my opponents. Then we became like friends after that. So after like it's funny to think about because we like my team at Grayson, we hit our stride, our only stride of the season for like our whole traveling. Like my mom showed up to the Rochester game, my grandma showed up. They hadn't seen me play like all season in almost like a year now. So I'm like, I gotta go crazy. So like I just had literally probably I wouldn't say the best game of my like that year, but it was one of my better games. Um, and after that, like I Logan, so I would like talk a little bit, we chit chat. And it's so funny because like you and I are like the same. Like we just despise losing, and I think that's what made our team good. Like we may not have had like
Mm.
at Rochester at least, like we didn't have like the best talent in the work, like in the in the NIA,
Yeah,
which is fine. But we all like wanted to win, so like
yeah.
it covered up a lot of different things, that we didn't do great. Um,
Mm.
so I remember after that, I we were losing every day, like every game at Graceland, losing. And I'm like, COVID hit. I'm coming back home. I'm literally around my friends all the time. Um, like once it died down a little bit, around my friends, we're hanging out. Like I'm around family again, and that's fun. And I'm like, I gotta stay home. So I'm like, what do I want to do? And the whole season, um, I had a teammate who came from my junior college that I went to. His name was JP. He's like he knew
Mm.
Armand at the time. He knew
Oh,
Armand because they were both like from the Flint area, right?
yeah,
Am I
yeah.
correct on that? Armand's from the Flint
I
area
think
as well.
Armand's
Um,
from Pontiac, but they probably played against each other.
okay, probably he knew him somehow. But
Yeah.
he knew him and he's like, hey, I got a plug at Rochester if you're trying to transfer. And I was like, oh, okay. But I wasn't taking him serious. I was literally
Yeah.
about to finish the season scoring like 500, 600 points like on the season. Like I could have like ended the. I was trying to get basically what I was trying to do is go to Grayson. I was like, we're losing every game, but I get to shoot every shot I want to, and I'm probably going to end up like in the next two seasons with like 1,000 points and like 500 rebounds. So like I might as well just stay here and get my jersey retired. That's all that was going through my mind. So I was like, and then he's like, da da da, and I was like, he kept saying like, bro, like let's go, let's start winning again. Like I'm tired of being here. And I was like, nah, man, like I don't know, I'll give us a da 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 da. And I was just like, when I was around family, I was like, I gotta stay close to home, and
Yeah.
that's when I texted Logan, and then Logan got me in touch with Coach Rice. My first interaction with Coach Rice was over the phone, text message, and then I got Coach P on like a FaceTime. It was me, Coach P, and Coach Rice on a FaceTime. I told him, yeah, like send the paperwork over, I'll commit. And
Mm.
and like I said, I think a lot of people when they meet me, they like because I don't talk. They're like, oh, he's not like a goofy, like funny guy. But that's all I am. Like that's all I
Yeah.
do is goof around, like whatever. And then it was nice to see like that you guys acted like me, you, Sauce,
Oh
and
yeah.
Noah like all acted the same way. So it was like super easy to fit in after that. But yeah,
It
that's
took
that's
like
so
two
funny.
weeks for that to
Um,
start happening too. Like
Oh
it didn't
yeah,
take
like our
long.
third interaction. No,
Yes.
no. Like once
Yeah.
I feel
Well, it
comfortable,
also
I'm like,
helped.
oh yeah, it's
It also helped that you were living with Noah too, and we were friends with Noah already,
yeah,
so that relationship built so quick. And yeah, we all have very similar sense of humor,
yeah.
so that made it easy.
Oh yeah, 100. I didn't know Noah before that either. So like, I just
Yeah, that's right.
Logan told me like he's got an extra room. Um, we'll see about getting you in. And I think Noah at first was like, I'm not inviting a random. I don't know if he said black man, but I think it was along those lines. I'm
I
not
knew you were
inviting a
about to say
random
that.
man to come. Yeah. I'm not inviting a random man to come live in my house, which is fair. And then Logan was like, "Hey, come down to these open runs we do, and kind of get to know him a little bit better." And I think it took
Hmm.
like 2 times. I think you were like, "Yeah, like Virgil, you and Noah are on the same team." I think like after our second game, we were like, Noah was like, "Yeah, he can come live with me. Like he's actually
Yeah,
not a
yeah.
weirdo." And I was like, "Yeah, I appreciate that."
That's completely fair of Noah
Thank
to.
you. Yeah, 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 yeah.
You'll,
But yeah, man, that was funny stuff.
yeah. Then that whole summer was just
But yeah,
hooping at the park, and
mm-hmm.
uh, yeah. Then getting into that first. Well, that was the season that we didn't even get to play until like halfway, right?
Yeah,
Because
they
you only
kept pushing
played.
it back. Yep.
Oh, you only played 2 seasons with us then.
Hmm. Yeah, my two
Dang, I didn't
senior
even
seasons.
realize that. So your
Yeah,
first year
man.
with us was the year we won it.
Yeah,
Wow, I
yeah,
didn't even realize that.
yeah,
I don't know
man.
why I
We
thought you were there
were
for 3 years.
no only two. Those two senior years, the COVID year, and then the one you got back for the COVID year. Yeah, man. That was by far. Mm, that was by far my favorite like basketball like season ever.
Oh,
Like what we like went through, like with COVID, we didn't even think we were gonna play. Like I had just transferred, we didn't even think we were gonna play.
that was awful, dude.
And then to plan what we played 18 total games or something like
Some
that.
yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Yeah, like
I
we
think
played
it
a
was
couple
like
conference
14 in the
games,
regular
and
season or something.
yeah,
But
and then we played like a couple in the tournament, and then
mhm.
one in the national tournament. And yeah, I mean,
That was a fun
I
year.
don't know. Like, so, I mean, speak on that from your end. Like, that's your senior year. You don't think you're gonna play to go into like. I mean, how was that for you?
Yeah, dude. That was so tough. I remember that being awful. Like especially that like that fall where we still didn't know if we were going to play. Um, I was like getting a degree, but like I didn't really know what it was going to be. It's like as far as focus wise, I wasn't ready to be done playing basketball by any means, and it was looking like a very good chance we weren't going to play. And especially when we thought, gaining you, Noah had gotten so much better that summer too. Like we knew we were going to be a problem in the
Yeah,
conference, and then for all that to just feel like it wasn't going to get to happen was awful. Um, and of course, we ended up instead of that, getting an extra year, and then that made it a little bit easier. We're like, oh, we at least get another year after this to play if we want, and we all kind of agreed we were all going to stay, so that made it a little bit easier. Um, but we still didn't know if we were going to get to play. But then it wasn't until
yeah,
like what was it, January or something, we played our first game. I think it was something like that because
yeah. It
we were
was
playing
late.
three games a week for like 6 weeks or something. Like we were, I mean, and I think that's the only. I think that was a big reason why we ended up winning it is because I I think we were all like very like mentally and physically tough, and especially defensively, where other teams couldn't really prepare for that. Like they were playing 3 games a week too, so they were all tired just like we were, but we didn't care as much as you know what I mean. And of course, everyone's going to say that, but I did feel like that year specifically, what it just came down to a lot of toughness and not as much like preparation, which is why we probably weren't as good the next year. But that year specifically took a lot of toughness, and I mean we were tougher than most teams most days. So that
Oh,
was a ton of
100%.
fun.
I completely. I completely forgot we were playing 3 games a week.
Yeah, bro.
That's
I mean,
crazy to go back and think about.
and like me and you, and probably Noah too, because I don't think Diego was playing at that time, and like Fed was getting spot minutes, but like me and you specifically were playing like 35 minutes a game. You were playing 40 most nights. I feel like, unless you had fouls, you were playing 40
I was,
minutes,
yeah, man, and that was the
which is
other thing
crazy as
too.
a big.
I think that, bro, it's nuts to go back and think about that. Like we were literally playing, 90 minutes a week. Like really weren't practicing, but everybody who was out there was like, I think it starts from the top down in regards
Mhm.
to guys. Let's just go win. Like let's just go win a basketball game. Like it
Yeah.
has, and I think us playing in the summer as well. Us
Hmm.
playing in the summer as well was like it's like playing pickup at that point. Like
Yeah,
we'll
that's
be
all it
out there
was
playing
too.
pickup basketball. Yeah, seriously, and we'll go win some games. And like you said, I think the next year that's probably what hurt us is it wasn't pickup anymore, and we still wanted it to be.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
teams they
yeah.
prepared for us, like they knew what we wanted to do
Mm-hmm.
at that point, and we didn't adjust accordingly. And I mean, we had a lot of injuries and weird stuff that happened that year too.
Mm-hmm.
But um, yeah, it was. I was thinking about you, and I was trying to think of a word to describe you, and I think like how you kind of touched on your competitiveness. I feel like athletically bipolar would be a perfect way because you're like the goofiest dude, but when it comes time to like play a game and like either win or lose, like you get so mad because you're not losing.
I don't know what happens, but like a switch goes like in me, and I'm like, okay, we just got to win a basketball game. Like I just get super competitive, and
Mm-hmm.
I think like you're not like you have a goofy side, but like you're like focused and like serious. Where I like am like you said, just like two completely different people. Where like
Yeah.
once like the game's over, like I'm laughing again. Like it's like it never happened. I'll shake anybody's hand. Like, but yeah, yeah. My mom
Yeah.
said she loves watching me play because that's when she sees the real me. I'm like, oh, okay,
Really, the
relax.
serious you. Relax.
Yeah, yeah. But
that's funny. It's funny to think
yeah,
about.
man. No, it's yeah, it's definitely one of those things where and I think as like an athlete, a lot of people can attest to that because like I would say like I have a dickish side when it comes to kind of be competitive or coming to be competitive because I do want to win. Um,
Hmm.
but like I think everybody has that. Like I've seen you grab a man's jersey and tell him to relax. Like
That had to happen.
I've never seen you do anything like that. like
Yeah, I
like
don't know where that came from.
but
That'll be a story for
I was
another time.
shocked.
That'll be a story for
Yeah,
another
that'll
time.
that'll be we'll do a glory days podcast where we'll touch on that a little bit more. We're
Maybe
leaving
we'll
we're
have him
leaving
on.
teasers right now. Yeah,
We'll have him on one day.
I don't even know who it was,
No clue. Yeah, I don't know. It's a kid from
but
Concordia.
yeah,
I don't
man.
know. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, we'll talk more about
yeah,
Rochester times and that season specifically where we won the championship and all that. And obviously post basketball a little bit further down the line. But I also wanted to get into some other things too. I know you did too, uh, with this one
absolutely.
specifically. So I want to talk a little bit because we got to talk about the college football playoff because that just dropped today. Um, I'm assuming you're at least somewhat familiar with what's going on with that.
Yeah, I saw I've got the ESPN app, so I saw that I watched the Georgia Alabama game yesterday, and
Mm-hmm.
then I saw the polls where it was Michigan, Washington, Texas, and Alabama.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
So it's this. I mean I mean the whole thing with the college football playoffs is supposed to be the best four teams, and I mean it's hard to argue that Alabama's not one of the top four teams, but at the same time, a lot of people are mad because you leave out Florida State, who goes undefeated, and the only reason they get left out is because their quarterback's hurt. that's a tough one. I personally think they made the right call. I think it's a tough one, and it's hard to not reward Florida State for that, for having such a great year. I mean, even when the quarterback was hurt, they still beat good teams with their backup and even their third string quarterback. But at the end of the
Yeah,
day, without their main guy, they're not going to be able to compete with those other teams. I mean, you're going into a college football playoff, and if they're playing Michigan as the 4 seed, they probably would have been like 3 touchdown underdogs, and no one wants to watch that. So you get
no,
Alabama in there. Now that game's going to be tough. It's going to be competitive, and it's probably better for the sport as a whole. It stinks for Florida State, but I feel like that. I feel like that's a decision they had to make. That's a
fair.
tough one
And
though.
did you watch any of that Louisville?
Yeah. I watched a little bit of it, and I mean, Florida State's offense just looks slow. But to be fair, it's their third string quarterback, and the backup. The only
Yeah.
reason the other guy wasn't in was because he's in concussion protocol. Like he would have been back for the playoff, but it's
Okay.
still not even their starter, you know. And I mean, they looked bad though. I mean, their defense looked good, but their offense
Yeah.
they're bad.
It didn't look. No, I watched the first half. I think it was 3-0, and it
Yeah,
just didn't. It Nothing looked like it was like he just looked like in his defense he looked like he was the third string quarterback.
yeah.
I don't know if he was a sophomore or freshman, but
I think he's a
he didn't
true
look like he
freshman.
was yeah. So it's like it's not his fault, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, if
So
you
you're
think
saying he would have? Go ahead.
I was to say, if you think about it, if you have a third string quarterback in an NFL game, like these are NFL quarterbacks, a third string quarterback isn't doing anything, let alone
Yeah,
a college team. They
that's
had no
fair.
shot, and they still won the
Yeah,
game. That's the crazy thing. Louisville's not a bad team, so
no,
I don't know. It's a tough
no.
one, but
But yeah, I mean, we're just throwing names out there. We're just throwing names out there. Netflix,
yeah,
Paramount, reach out. It's the biggest
it
podcast. That's
won't
all I say.
won't hurt.
That's
Yeah, it
all I'll
won't
say
hurt you to
about it.
reach out. Yeah, I can't
Um,
guarantee any money on your end. I can't guarantee we'll even make a deal with you, but it's probably worth a shot on for that.
yeah,
I would say.
at least try. Like, do your job. At least try.
Yeah, do your
But
job.
yeah, you wanted to talk about um our alliance.
Oh yeah, gotta talk him a little bit. I was actually gonna something about Sam Richardson too. Um,
Oh, let me hear it.
what's the main guy's name? In the show that you like, right? Tim.
Which
Tim.
one? Tim Robinson?
The yeah. So that they showed him at a Lions game a couple weeks ago, and Sam Richardson was with him. So I think they are pretty good friends, um,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. Um, But yeah, I'm a big Lions guy. Have been my whole life. I don't know. I just always grew up watching it with my dad and my brother. So it also becomes like at some point you've seen a team lose so often, and you've loved them the whole time and like blindly supported them for no reason. At this point now, they're actually good too. It's cool. But I guess if you just support someone blindly for that long, it would be weird for me to just stop. I know some people were just got to a point in their lives where they're like, I just can't do it anymore. But I just never really did. I've watched every single game. I watched every single game of the 0-16 season. Like I remember that as a kid. Um, so now that they're good, it's pretty cool. It's been a lot of fun this year. Last week was a little scary. Last couple of weeks were a little scary. Even this week was a little scary. And of course, we're recording this on a Sunday, so like the game just got done a couple hours ago, and they beat the Saints on the road, which is a good win, but they made it closer than it should have been. But I'm not going to complain. 93, best record since like 62 or something. Um, it's been fun.
Yeah, man. I see. I'm the opposite of you, where I've been a Lions fan for so
Hmm.
long, but like eventually, you need to like make it stop ruining your weekend and make it
Yeah.
stop ruining your Sunday. Like you just want to go on about your life. So now that they're good, I have no problem watching it. But there was a point where somebody would say the Lions game is on. I just wouldn't care because
Yeah.
it's like we'd get into the same situation where it's like fourth down, we're driving the field, we're driving, the length of the field, we're down by three, we just need a field goal, and we get an interception, we get a fumble, and it's like, oh, the Lions are just gonna lion. It's like I don't want
Yeah.
to hear that. I
Yeah.
don't want to
Same
hear
with
that. I'm in
Lions.
misery. I'm in pain, and I seem to be the only one who cares. But yeah, man, love our Lions. Love what they're doing right now.
Hmm. They're a
Yeah,
fun team
big
to
fan,
watch.
bro.
That's for sure.
It's a fun team to watch, and it's like after you watch them lose for so long. I don't know about you, but sometimes I still get like a little shocked when we win a game. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, okay. Like
Like,
I'm not
oh,
like yeah, we're not the Chiefs. We haven't been winning Super Bowls. We we're still fairly new to this winning thing. So yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying what I'm seeing
very.
right now. Um, obviously coming into the season, there was a lot of hype around us because how we ended the season last year.
Yeah.
And like you just like as a Lions fan, you're don't give us hype. Like we don't want that. We don't want the hype. We don't want any of that. But it's been nice to see them kind of show up.
Hmm.
Week in and week out. Like even when we lose games, it's like I know people still get upset, but it's like let's not get greedy here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I'll take a 9-3. Let's not get too greedy. But
Yeah.
no, it's
That's
definitely
a
been
good point.
yeah, yeah. Like
Li-
we lose a game, like
Lions
we
fans got
won,
greedy in a hurry.
like where's this coming from, guys? We just like a couple of years ago we didn't win a game. Like,
Yeah,
but
it wasn't that
yeah,
long
it's
ago.
it's been definitely nice to watch.
Hmm.
The Lions just kind of turn things around. Um,
Oh yeah.
definitely, man. Um, yeah, Detroit sports.
Yeah.
I guess the Pistons don't look the best.
Eh.
I don't even know what's going on there.
The Lions have more wins in 2023 than the Pistons do, I believe. And that's including last year, 2023, and this year.
I know
What is it? What is it?
we were
17 games in a row right now. I don't know if they play
what
tonight or not.
17. I know at 12. At 12 we broke the record for the NBA of teams with the most losses in a row and still scoring 100 points in each game. I think they scored 100 in each of the 12 losses and still lost all of them. But it's like, you look back at some of these games and sure, like obviously you want to win them as like a Detroit sports fan, but it's like I watched the game they played the other night. I forget who they played, but they lost by 4 points. And I think it
Mm-hmm.
was it's a team out west. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it's
The
like
Lakers?
it's
Is that one
no.
close? I don't know. Okay.
We played the Nuggets pretty close too, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like I don't know. For me, it's like yeah, yeah, we're losing games, and yeah, we're losing a lot, and we're not winning any, which sucks. But it's like they're young and they're not getting blown out. If they were getting blown out by 30 each night, then it's like okay, because I just to backtrack a little bit, that's what I was doing at Graceland, night in and night out. We were
Yeah.
losing by after we played you guys, we were losing 30-point games. We're to the point where you've seen how like especially when we were winning so much, you've seen how I get after losses where I'm just like I don't really
Oh
want to
yeah.
talk to anyone because I get super competitive. So that's the mindset I had going into like my Grayson experience, and after that, like I think we lost like 4 or 5 in a row. My teammates were just going out like partying, like still hanging out, like going to
No
parties we had on
shot.
campus at night. And like I think for the first 3 or 4 games, I was like I'm not going out, and I would just sit in my room and just like watch TV, like watch Netflix or something like that, and basically just sulk for the night, and then go to class the next day, go to practice. I
Mm-hmm.
think our fifth game of getting blown out by 30. One of my teammates was like, "Bro, you can't let it like ruin." Shout out Ramon, by the way. That's shout out my boy Ramon. He was like, "You can't let this ruin like your whole like weekend, like because he basically said we're gonna keep losing, so you need to find a way to get over it." That's basically what he told me. He was like, we're gonna keep losing, so you need to find a way to get over it."
Yeah.
And after that, I was like, "Oh, yeah, man, he's probably right." Because I'm like, I'm not having fun. Like I'm getting beat in basketball, and then I'm going like the sport I love the most, and then I'm going back to my
Mm-hmm.
dorm, and I'm like just complaining, and then we're just repeating the same thing. So I'm like, I need to throw some
Yeah.
fun in there. Um, and then that's when I started going out and hanging out. But I think when I got to Rochester, I kind of got a little bit more locked in on basketball and actually winning. But yeah, man.
Yeah.
So like I don't. You have you ever been beat like consecutively like by a bunch of points, like by 30 or anything like that? I know you guys have
You
always
know,
pretty been pretty competitive at Rochester.
yeah, I never had a losing season there. And my high school teams were always good too. To be fair, I was Class D, so it doesn't take much to be
Still,
good. But I've never been on like a bad team before. Like obviously, I've not always been the best team. Like I've lost games everywhere I've been. I wasn't. I mean, we won one championship in the WAC the whole time I was there. So it's not like I just dominated everywhere I've been, but I've always been on like decent teams. Like I've never really struggled with consistent losing. I would say the 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 worst I've dealt with as far as like losing and just trying to deal with those emotions was our very last year. Like when you were hurt, like that year was brutal. Because you get a sense of like hopelessness too, because you work so hard to try to put yourself in a position to win, and then and when you keep losing, it's just I mean it's that was the worst. That was and then it's not fun. You're right, like the way you put it. You're playing basketball because you love it, and it's not fun, you know. And I think some people are
you're just
able
not having
to
a good time.
no, yeah, I think some people are able to just do it for the fun of the game, like try to win. And if they lose, it's like like I played a good game or whatever. Like there was no like I had a good game though. You know what I mean? Like for either of us, like if we lost, it didn't matter if you had 30, which happened a lot of times. You didn't care. You know, I mean, if we lost the game, that I'm not happy. Um, and it's just sometimes I envy people who were able to take that approach to the game a little bit more. Probably would have enjoyed that at least that last year a bit more.
Yeah, and I think there is. I think, um, at least from what I've seen, like us, what like I can't speak on every year, but I can speak on the 2 years I was at Rochester and like seeing the work that you put in. Um, so I think for like, and that's what I think made me the most mad because before I went to Graceland, I was obviously at Delta College. You know this. Other people may not know.
Mm-hmm.
Just for context, I went to a junior college first. Um, Played fine. I was like, National Player of the Week one week. My team finished fourth in the nation at the national tournament my sophomore year. So like, and then in high school, just like you, like was on a really good team. My sophomore
Mm-hmm.
year, I was on varsity. And we lost first round of the playoffs, but like didn't have a losing season. My
Yeah.
junior year, won. We won our districts, and then my senior year, we won districts and then regionals, and then lost. A game before the final four. So,
Mm.
like I've always just been on winning teams. So like because I love winning so much, and it just happened. Like I always have been like, oh man, I love basketball, and then like it's just the reality of it. I'm like, oh yeah, man, like I'm winning. Like this is actually like whatever. Like, this is easy. Oh yeah, but I went and I played, but I was never like a star player at any of those schools. Like shout out my boy Peyton, high school. He was kind of the
Mm.
man. Like he
Stud.
averaged like 18. Yeah, he was bro ridiculous. Like averaged 18 a game. Played varsity since his freshman year. Then I went to my junior college. John Swift. He played at Madonna. Shout out John Smith
Yeah,
or
yeah.
John Swift.
Mm.
He played at Madonna. He was the man my
One of the
freshman
best
year.
defenders I ever played.
Dude, best defender, could move his feet,
Mm-hmm.
good
Yeah, he was
teammate.
good.
He's just a good dude. Still a good dude.
Yeah.
He's about to get. I think he just got engaged. Shout out John. Um,
Hmm.
and he was the man on our team. My sophomore year, we had a couple. We were really good. We had a couple like guys on our team, and I was just never the man. So um, I worked really hard before I went to Graceland, and then it was like me kind of being the man, and like I worked so hard that like losing pissed me off because it's like I miss a shot and it's like, okay, what did I shoot all those reps for? Like, what was the point? You know, like
Mm-hmm.
like so, like you said, how hard you work probably dictates your feelings after the game. Because
Yeah,
if
that's
you're
a good
putting in the
point.
work, you probably are gonna feel. But I mean, like I said, we'll touch on that. Obviously, dedication, life after sports on another episode. But yeah, I think
Yeah,
that definitely dictates how you feel after the game is how much work you put in. If you're not gonna
yeah,
work
that's a good
after
point.
practice or before practice or on your own, you probably don't care about the game because you're like, oh, I
Yeah,
made a three. But
yeah, it's got to
we
be
were in
correlated.
there that summer, before our last season. We were running
Yeah.
ones, me, you, and AJ. Sometimes Sauce, sometimes Cannon,
Oh
Noah
well.
too.
Yeah. Yeah,
When we were
bro.
doing that at 7 until like midnight, bro.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Then we come in the
We're
season, and things are kind of clicking, and we're figuring it out. Yeah, man,
we hit
that
our
was a rough
stride
one.
for like that. It was right before the Florida trip. We
Hmm.
were playing good basketball, like real good
Yeah,
basketball.
yeah, man. We just won both of the games at Madonna
Yep.
against those two teams. We played Grayson actually
And
there. I rolled my
that ranked
freaking
team.
ankle, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, and oh yeah, it wasn't CMU, was it? I feel like it was. I think they were both from
It was
the
Central
Heart of
Methodist,
America.
right?
It was CMU, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Central
Yeah. I think so.
Methodist. Yep, Central Methodist University. Yep, CMU. Yeah, man, beat them. Beat Graceland. Flew down to Florida that night or the night after. Played against the number. They were like top five at least. We had just beat them when they were the number one team in the nation,
Beat him by 30.
and yeah, bro, blew those boys out. Blew
And they
those
gave it right
boys
back,
out.
though.
Yeah,
But then
yeah,
you got hurt during that game because you broke your foot during that game, right? It's like at the beginning of the game.
yep. I did a mean in and out, dunked it. Just a routine
Mm-hmm.
dunk. Like it was the most normal dunk I've ever done in my life. Went off my left foot, landed, adrenaline still rushing. Like after a dunk, I'm screaming, hanging on the rim, land, and like I don't feel anything. And I'm running down the court. I think we had just got a turnover, like I had hit the ball or like somebody had hit the ball. And I was like, I can't walk. And I thought it was like a joke at first or like a little fluke. Like I thought I had a little stinger. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and and basically it was like the guy was like, if you take this, the trainer there, he was like, if you take this wrapping, because I had my foot taped because I just like rolled my ankle. Um, and he was like, if you take this off, you can't go back in the game. And like my foot was hurting, and I was like, I don't care about this game right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we
was
were
like, I
down
could care less
fifteen
about this
twenty.
game. Yeah, I was like, I could care less about this game. I want to know why my foot's hurting. And he took me back, and he was like feeling on my foot. It was super swollen. And he's like, yeah, you probably fractured your foot. I was like, I
Mm.
don't want to hear that right now.
Couldn't hear it.
Don't want to hear anything you're saying. And then I was basically, I think we had our breakfast was on the on the opposite side of the beach. It was a little hike,
Mm.
and I was just
Oh,
crutching
yeah.
my way down there.
I
Oh,
forgot
that was
about that.
awful. Yeah, man. Your dad was
That
down
was
there too.
brutal.
Your grandpa. They always made
Yep.
the trip,
Yep.
bro.
Always. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
They just loved watching. But I
Does he
think it
ever
was
get
also the
sad sometimes?
last. I think so. Yeah. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, now after I moved out a couple of years. Like I was still in college though, so I was near him. But I had two little sisters and a brother who lived with them still. But like right after I graduated, so this was what was that? The end of 22
Yeah,
or April of 22.
yeah,
Um, right after that, my one of my sisters moved out to DC, and then one moved to Hawaii, and then my brother moved out. And then I moved out to like Shelby Township. So then my parents went from like four kids that were all right there all the time, and I mean, keep in mind also they grew up raising seven of us because I have six brothers and
yeah.
sisters. So they went from 7 to 4, and they were still like busy all the time, to now like no kids at all. So I feel like in a lot of ways they were like kind of lost for a little bit, you know. Um, so it was kind of hard for them, and like not watching sports anymore because we all played sports. Um,
Hmm.
so that was interesting too. I like to talk to my parents about that
Yeah,
at some
and
point.
you always had like a showing of people. Like, I mean, just
Yeah.
speaking on the fact that your dad was close, your mom was close, grandpa and grandma were always, there as well. And
Hmm.
then, your sisters were there. Obviously, Maddie, her dad, her
Yeah.
mom would come to some games. It's like you and Noah always had like you guys were the filling up our seats. That I mean, like you're the people that came with you guys. But
That's a good point. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Aunts and uncles would come sometimes. Yeah. No, I had
exactly, yeah,
I had a lot of people coming out to watch. It was really cool, and I was giving them
yeah,
9 points a
just
game. So
to show some love, man. To show some love. But yeah, okay, man. Let's do our last bit. I thought this one would resonate for you because you just got done doing a wedding, and it's an "Am I the a-hole?"
mm,
We'll do this one right here. Let's see. Okay, so this guy, he says, "Would I be the a-hole for not attending my close friend's wedding because my girlfriend wasn't invited?" He said, "Sticky situation here. My close friend from university is getting married next year. I'm not the best man, but I am a groomsman. I'm very happy for him and his future wife, who I'm also friendly with. The problem is that I didn't invite his girlfriend of 5 years, who has met and hung out with them multiple times. He said, we've also gone on trips together. The reason my friend has given me that he has not, uh, that he and his fiance have not invited my close girlfriend, is because they're not close to her, which is fair. My girlfriend says, it's coming from, or he said his friend said it's coming from his fiance, and his girlfriend is not a bad person at all, but she's very reserved and introverted, and struggles to kind of connect with people sometimes. And he said it's not a small wedding either, about 200 people, and other people have plus ones. But my girlfriend is trying to be understanding and is obviously upset about it. And this begs the question of kind of, he's asking what would, who should he invite when he gets married as well?
ugh,
But he said, I've never had a friendship falling out before, and I don't want to cause drama and regret not going to the wedding. But I love my girlfriend and think it's totally unfair. And then he said, "Would he be the asshole for not going to the wedding and ruining a 10-year friendship?" Basically, thoughts.
oof, that is a tough one. Um, I guess I'll start off by saying this is probably a bit hypocritical, but I'm gonna say he should have invited the girlfriend. I think.
100%.
Um, I say I'm hypocritical because, as you know, Sauce, my best man, had been dating someone for 6 months, and I didn't invite his girlfriend. Granted, that's not 5 years, but
Yeah.
the reason we did that is because we weren't doing plus ones unless people were married. But if you got a groomsman, like typically you would invite whoever they're dating. Like they get a plus one.
Yeah.
Um, but we also sent out invitations before they started dating, and then we probably could have adjusted it, but we decided not to, just because we didn't think it'd be fair to other people and all that. So I wanted to get that out of the way. I am a bit hypocritical when I say this, but I think he should have invited the girlfriend regardless. If you're gonna have a 200-person wedding, like
100%.
that's that's kind of crazy. And it's also a groomsman, like they have to have a plus one. Because now not inviting them isn't like you're just like like it just was close. Like it kind of feels like a shot a little bit. Um, and I don't think he's an asshole for not going, but I would probably still go. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, 100%.
Like I
I
would be,
I'm
I
going
would feel
to
weird about it, and I don't think the girlfriend. I think it's fair if the girlfriend's upset, but I don't think she should expect him not to go either. Like that's your best friend.
100%.
Whatever happened with the invitation's weird, but and if you end up having a falling out after, that's that might happen and probably will happen, I would think. but I wouldn't make the wedding like a statement. You know what I mean? Like, just go to the wedding, be the groomsman, um, enjoy it as much as you can, and then if you end up having a falling out after because of this weird thing where they didn't invite her, it is what it is.
No,
That's just me though.
100%. And I thought at first, this is my thing, is because, um, yeah, I had a girlfriend. I went to your wedding, beautiful wedding, teared
Mm-hmm.
up.
Thank you.
But I had a girlfriend, and like you said, no plus ones, which I thought was completely fair because I've always been of the opinion where a wedding is about those two people getting married. It's not about you, or like you said, like don't try to make a statement at somebody else's wedding. Like it's
Yeah.
it's not your thing. But
Mm-hmm.
if he's been your friend, the part where at first I was like, no, like you would be an a hole for not going because like it's their day, don't make it about you. But then it's like
Yeah.
other people are having plus ones. You guys have been on trips together.
It
Like
is
they
weird.
obviously know about her. Yeah, it's just like it's a weird situation to like even be involved in. But I,
Mm-hmm.
I would say like, yeah, I think that not going to somebody's wedding, you'll instantly regret it. Like
Yeah.
I think I've
Because
been
what if
to
the girl doesn't work out at some point? Now you're losing a friend over a relationship that may have been temporary. You know what I mean? I understand you've been dating for a long
exactly,
time, but crazier things happen with relationships. So yeah,
exactly.
that's a good point too. Like you, Cannon, Noah, Sauce, all dating people at the time of my wedding. I didn't invite any of your significant others, and
No,
none of you guys gave me any problems with it at all. You know what I mean?
no.
And I'm sure you would have loved to have them there. Of course you would. It's a wedding.
Mm,
Um,
no, I'm joking. No, I'm joking. But yeah, I mean, I just think that I've been to two weddings of people who I think are really good friends of mine. Yours, and then one of my friends I've known since eighth grade, basically, who got married back in 2019, 2018,
mm,
and I was in his wedding. I think it's so beautiful. Like I think if I hadn't been to his, I mean I still would have went to yours regardless, but I think you get an understanding of the beauty of a wedding, what it means to those people.
yeah.
And it I don't know, being at a wedding makes you realize that life doesn't revolve around you, that it's bigger than just yourself. And I think first of all, I think they're beautiful. I think both of you guys had extremely beautiful weddings. And then I think it made it a lot easier at your wedding too, because it was a very personal wedding. Like there wasn't like every person I met was either directly related to you
Yeah.
or like, someone Maddie was related to as well. And I think on your side at least, the only people, well, your brother-in-law now, so he's related to you, but I think it was
Hmm.
me, Cannon, and Cannon's. Oh well, I guess Sauce's family as well, but it was like seven people who weren't related to you who were invited, and so it's
Yeah.
like I
That was
wouldn't have
it.
given you
Yeah.
slack anyway, but it's like you go there and you completely understand like what,
Yeah.
like okay, like good, and I thought it
Yeah.
was like I said, a beautiful wedding, but um, moral of the story, you're in a tricky one, pal, but you would be an a hole if you didn't go to your friend's wedding. I'll just say it.
I think
Um,
yeah. I'm not gonna argue with that. I think
yeah,
that's fair.
yeah. I mean, I mean, like we say, it's not about you. At the end of it, if you want to have a discussion with them and you guys have some words, okay. But yeah, during let the man live. It's his day, and then you'd all like. We didn't even mention the fact that you're a groomsman, so you'd be ruining his wedding. You'd
Oh
be
yeah,
throwing
yeah. You're
everything
messing things
off.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
prepared for you to be there. Like I said, it's a tricky one, but yeah, a hole, man.
Yeah.
Um,
Don't be it.
yeah,
Go to the
I don't know
wedding.
what else to tell you. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're an a hole. But yeah,
Hmm.
that was a good one.
That about do it. That does it, huh?
Yeah, man. We will catch you guys next time. We're gonna make like a trampoline and bounce. But yeah, it's been the episode 1 of the Snail Gang podcast.
Yeah, we did about
You
an
know,
hour
plug
too.
anything,
That was
Drew?
good.
Yeah, man.
Plug, gosh, I don't have anything to plug right now.
Drew,
Hopefully
plug
one day,
your
you know.
TikTok page, man. The Fashion King.
Yeah, I mean,
We'll
I
put
guess
it.
if you guys are
We'll
into
put it in the description
style and
below
all
too.
that, Angel Klein _ everywhere. I
We'll
gotta
put
start
it in
making
the
more
description
videos.
below. You guys can follow. You guys can follow the kid. Great
Oh,
stuff.
plug the Instagram and the TikTok. We have a TikTok for the channel, right? It's a Snail Gang
Yeah,
podcast and all
everything
that.
is it's the Snail Gang podcast. It's the Snail Gang podcast, or it might be pod or podcast. Either way, you type it in, you'll find it. But yeah, man, that's episode 1. We appreciate you guys. And we're out.
Yep, sounds good. Appreciate it.